Press near your guard, your grill, press kick, you move your feet, you can't repeat. I got my hydrants parked on every street. I'm federal, nigga, sun and sun, come close and feel the heat. I am the streets, the white lines only separate me from me. You hydroplane and false God's name and still crash into me. Signing tree, mountainside guardrail into the sea. They thought they stole you from my arms and carried you to me. Here's the key, DNA encoded in a beat. White rocks in the file, nigga, I ain't got nothing on me. Bitch, I'm free, ask these editors at MTV. Far as they know, they're publishing some new school poem. Let it be, cause even that will do to turn the key. Doorways in the other worlds, the truth shall set you free. You are me, I'm you, but also I'm he. Shepherd of a bastard flock that grazes in the streets. Feel the beat, nod your head, lean back and touch your feet. Let me see you pop that thing right there, girl, in your seat. Feel the heat, count this page amongst your whiter sheets. Comfort in my every word, slide under countless sheet.
Hail Mary, Mother of God, got the whole host of angels shuffling in my iPod. Niggas learn to raise their voices when I lower my rod. Staff of Moses, Pharaoh knows this, so my word is my bond. To my heart with my mind, speak my nature divine. Call this shit into existence back in '79. The future in my pocket, tightly gripped like a knife. Keep my finger on the trigger, waiting for the right time. Ancient niggas aligned, had the cosmic design. Better keep to Saturn's ring, so need no diamonds to shine. Guess the reason for the season, ornamented divine. Coded language of the mystics, with my fist in the sky.
Keep your head up, we represent the real, my nigga, dead up. Broke of the dead, history bled, this nigga fed up. Led us to despair, some into prayer and they won't let up. Until they got us worshiping them, false gods instead of the realness. God of the streets, my niggas feel this. Niggas nod our heads and worship through beats. Go ahead and kneel it, take the love that makes a cipher complete. And this display through the way the baseline marries the beat.
Hail Mary, Mother of God, got the whole host of angels shuffling in my iPod. Niggas learn to raise their voices when I lower my rod. Staff of Moses, Pharaoh knows this, so my word is my bond. To my heart with my mind, speak my nature divine. Call this shit into existence back in '7. The future in my pocket, tightly gripped like a knife. Keep my finger on the trigger, waiting for the right time. Ancient niggas aligned, had the cosmic design. Better keep to Saturn's ring, so need no diamonds to shine. Guess the reason for the season, ornamented divine. Coded language of the mystics, with my fist in the sky. Keep your head up.
They probably got me down by the end of the song. Seem like the whole city go against me. Every time I'm in the street, I hear yak, 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 yak.
Man down from, nigga. Fuck, do you know where you from, my nigga? Where your grandma stay, my nigga? This mad city I run, my nigga.
Brace yourself, I take you on a trip down memory lane. This is not a rapper, I'm slinking crack or moon cocaine. This is cul-de-sac and plenty cognac and major pain. Not the drill sergeant, but the stress that weighing on your brain. It was me, El Boogie, Yang, and YG Lucky. Ride down Rosecrans, it got ugly. Waving your hand out the window, check yourself. Warriors and coldness, hope euphoria can slow dance with society, the driver's seat, the first one to get killed. Seen a light-skinned nigga with his brains blown out at the same burger stand where saying gout. Now this is not a tape recorder saying that he did it, but ever since that day I was looking at him different. That was back when I was 9. Joey packed a 9, pack a stand on every porch is fine. We adapt to crime, pack a van with 4 guns at a time with the sliding door. Fuck it's up, fuck you shooting for if you ain't walking up, you fucking punk. Picking up the fucking pump, picking up you sucker, dick or die, a sucker punch. A wall of bullets coming from AKs, ARs, AR, duck. That's what mama said when we was eating that free lunch. Oh man, goddamn, all hell broke loose. You killed my cousin back in 94. Fuck your truce. Now crawl your head in that noose. You wind up dead on the news. Ain't no peace treaty, just peace and BG's up to pre-approved. Bodies on top of bodies, Ivies on top of Ivies. Obviously the coroner between the sheets like the Osleys. When you hop on that trolley, make sure your color's correct. Make sure you're corporate or they'll be calling your mother collect. They say the governor collect all of our taxes except when we in traffic and tragic happens. That shit ain't no threat. You moving backwards if you suggest that you sleep with a tech. Go buy your chopper and have a doctor on speed dial, I guess. Matt City.
Bend down, where you from, nigga? Fuck who you know, where you from, my nigga? Where your grandma stay, my nigga? This Mad City, I run, my nigga.
If Pyrus and Crips all got along, they probably gun me down by the end of the song. Seem like the whole city gonna get me.
I go to loud places to search for someone to be quiet with, who will take me home. You go to loud places to find someone who will take you higher than I took you. Didn't I take you to higher places you can't reach without me? Reach without
Whereas break beats have been the missing link connecting the diasporic community to its drum-woven past. Whereas the quantized drum has allowed the whirling mathematicians to calculate the ever-changing distance between rock and stardom, we do hereby declare reality unkept by the changing standards of dialogue. Statements such as, keep it real, especially when punctuating or anticipating modes of ultra-violence inflicted psychologically or physically, will henceforth be seen as retroactive and not representative of the individually determined is. Motherfuckers better realize, now is the time to self-actualize. Studies show that when a given norm is changed in the face of the unchanging, the remaining contradictions will parallel the truth. Equate rhyme with reason, sun with season. Reject mediocrity. Your current frequencies of understanding outweigh that which has been given for you to understand. The current standard is the equivalent of an adolescent restricted to the diet of an infant. The rapidly changing body would acquire dysfunction and formative symptoms that could not properly mature on a diet of applesauce and crushed pears. Light years are interchangeable with years of living in darkness. The role of darkness is not to be seen as or equated with ignorance, but with the unknown and the mysteries of the unseen. Thus, in the name of Robeson, Godson, Hurston, Akhenaten, Hatshepsut, Blackfoot, Helen, Lennon, Kahlo, Kali, the three Marias, Tara, Lilith, Lord, Whitman, Baldwin, Ginsburg, Kaufman, Lumumba, Gandhi, Gibran, Shabazz, Siddhartha, Medusa, Guevara, Gurdjieff, Rand, Wright, Banneker, Tubman, Hamer, Holiday, Davis, Coltrane, Morrison, Joplin, Du Bois, Clark, Shakespeare, Rachmaninoff, Ellington, Carter, Gay, Hathaway, Hendricks, Cootie, Dickerson, Ripperton, Mary, Isis, Teresa, Hansberry, Tesla, Plath, Rumi, Fellini, Michaud, Nostradamus, Nefertiti, Larat, Shiva, Ganesha, Yamaya, Oshun, Obatala, Ogun, Kennedy, King, Four Little Girls, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Keller, Biko, Perón, Marley, Magdalene, Cosby, Shakur, those who burn, those still aflame, and the countless unnamed. We claim the present as the present, as the hereafter. We are unraveling our navel so that we may ingest the sun. We are not afraid of the darkness. We trust that the moon shall guide us. We are determining the future at this very moment. We know that the heart is the philosopher's stone. Our music is our alchemy. We stand as the manifested equivalent of 3 buckets of water and a handful of minerals, thus realizing that those very buckets turned upside down supply the percussive factor of forever. Let your children name themselves and claim themselves as the new day. For today, we are determined to be the channelers of these changing frequencies into songs, paintings, writings, dance, drama, photography, carpentry, crafts, love, and love. We enlist every instrument, acoustic, electronic, every so-called gender, race, sexual preference, every person as beings of sound to acknowledge their responsibility to uplift the consciousness of the entire fucking world. Any utterance unaimed will be disclaimed, will be maimed. 2 rappers slain.
From the land of
Dobrodošli na Literodromu. Me veseli, da smo tako številni. Ne vem, welcome everybody. Maybe it's better to switch to English. Welcome to Literodrome. You're in for, I think, quite a few amazing evenings with various artists, publishers, translators, mainly from the German-speaking region, but actually from the whole wide world, with debates and readings. We're also live streaming this event on id.iot.se, idiot.si. Enjoy yourselves. And as Marko Yakshe actually said, that he hopes that someone will fall in love really hard, like it's supposed to.
To je bil Tibor Hrst-Pandur, jaz sem Uroš Prah. Lepo pozdravljeni na drugi ediciji Literodroma. Tokrat se torej fokusiramo na nemški govorni prostor s fokusom ga razumeti kot migracijski prostor. Lepo se zahvaljujem našemu producentu Cankarjevemu domu, zanj Barbari Rogel, vodji humanističnega programa. Z nami je danes tudi direktor Goethe-inštituta. Goethe-inštitut je pomemben partner to leto. Seveda je partner tudi Paraliterarno društvo Idiot. Naš medijski partner je Radio Študent, ki omogoča live stream danes in na vseh ostalih dogodkih. Omeniti moram še Mlade Rime, s katerimi sodelujemo pri zadnjem večeru na Metelkovi, in Traduki, ki so pomembno podprli in omogočili ta festival letos. Zdaj bi pa na oder kar povabil gospoda Uwe Reisika, direktorja Goethe-inštituta.
Ja, dober večer, good evening, guten Abend. I don't speak Slovenian, ne govorim slovensko, tako, ampak es wird. So at any case, dear guests, I'm very happy to be here and to have the occasion as Goethe Institute to participate at this very important and I think pleasureful range of evenings with young emerging people with good ideas and the impact to come together to strengthen the network, especially in the actual conditions, which are on the one hand sometimes tragic, on the other hand I think quite positive because everything is a little bit in turmoils. So even the so-called organized Germany has challenges which are, I think, quite tremendous, because even if Angela Merkel says, okay, we do it, as Obama said, okay, yes, we can, I'm not sure in which way we will do it. So, and on the one hand, this is very maybe critical. On the other hand, it's good because everybody has to think about here and now and to take responsibility. And I think that's the most important for our personal growing. Everybody should take the responsibility in the range of the resources he or she has. And yes, concerning our evenings, the fact that everything is moving and going around, so even literature will move, and so the question is what's national. Everything is more or less international. And concerning Germany, for example, we always have been, since the 16th century, we have been an immigration country, but it was not clearly expressed. And since 1949, after the war, as you know, we invited people from abroad to fill up our resources, and since then we are permanently an immigration country. And the question we pose, we have this evening, we had since 1949. And so, the other hand, for example, national poets, I remember now Peter Rosegger from Austria, who is quite a local literate, or for example Louis Strenker in Germany. This kind of literature, I think that will fade out because, of course, because of the situation as I cited, and the situation even with the European Union, which is smoothening in a certain kind the nationalities. That will create a completely new kind of literature. So that's the reason why we are here, and we want to know what will be, or what might be the result. I would like to thank especially to Uroš Prach, das heißt Staub auf Deutsch, habe ich gelernt. Wie sagt das? Potut Prach, alles Staub? Nein, Uroš Prach, and Tibor Pandor. And of course, Hvala lepa, Barbara Rogel, the director of the Department of Humanistic Culture Program. Thanks to our cooperators of the Sankariev Dom. Thanks to ourselves to participate. And of course, all the writeresses, die Schriftstellerinnen, Literatinnen und Literaten, ganz herzlichen Dank, dass Sie alle gekommen sind. Das ist nicht selbstverständlich. Barbara Gersnova hat also ihr Kind zu Hause gelassen, wollte sie zuerst mitbringen. Also wie gesagt, ganz herzlichen Dank. Und so, last but not least, enjoy your stay here in Slovenia in this marvelous place, and all the best. Thanks.
Še en intermezzo, kdorkoli rabi slušalke za debato, se pač vse simultano prevaja iz angleščine v slovenščino, dobijo se tam. Zdaj pa že prihajajo na oder.
So, let me introduce our wonderful guests of tonight's debate. On my right, there is Abu Said. He's a Syrian writer who, in 2011, I think, opened a Facebook page, started to write there, where he was discovered by another guest of ours, Sandra Hetzel. She translated his Facebook posts into German, and they were published with the Microtext publishing house in Berlin. Their head is also with us, Nicola Richter. She will be tomorrow on the discussion. And this book actually made it possible for Abud to come to Germany, and he now lives there in Berlin since a year and a half, I think.
3 years.
3 years already? Oh, then I'm mistaken. Okay, 3 years. So that's Abud Said. Plus. On my left, there is Michelle Steinbeck. She is from Switzerland. She is a poet, a novelist. Her first novel will come out soon, I think, this spring, March. She also is the editor of the Fabrikszeitung, which is a newspaper focusing on, I think, social commentary, culture, and so on. And she's also a member of Babelsprech, which is a transnational platform for young German poetry. And the co-curator of this platform is also with us. It's Robert Prosser, and he will be on the discussion also tomorrow. Well, an applause for Michel Steinweg. And then we have Sandra Hetzel, who I already mentioned. She is from Germany, was born in Munich, but lives now in Beirut. She is a wonderful translator from the Arabic language to German. She has this collective called 1011, and I think her personal investment in the Arabic literature is fantastic. She tries to find interesting new authors from the region as Abut and translate them into German and bring them to the German public. She's also a video artist. Applause for Sandra Hetzel. And then we have Ricardo Domenech from Brazil, from Sao Paulo, but he's also living in Germany now for quite a while, I think 13 years.
It's the 14th.
Yes. He's in Berlin now. He's a writer, a poet. He has published 6 poetry collections, which were, some of them were translated into German and Dutch and Spanish. He also works a lot with video and sound poetry, and has performed at such illustrious places as, for example, Museo Reina Sofia in Madrid. He also leads the music label Gully Havoc in Berlin. So an applause for Ricardo. And with us is also Emat Mirach. He will be translating a book for tonight. So applause for him. So, well, tonight we want to talk about identity politics. And, well, this term has more or less fixed meaning. It is, it means how political actions and views are modified by one's identity structure. It's a politological term which is focused on marginal groups, minorities who try to reach a higher level of empowerment within a mainstream culture. It is not something we want really to focus so much tonight. I think this term we will leave it be, and we will try to think of it in another way. We will start from very personal aspects of the guests tonight to this topic. We will ask them about how they perceive the construction of their own cultural identities through their writing, and at the same time how the politics of identities is influencing their work. Maybe I would direct my first question to Michel. You are a very young writer. You have your first novel is about to be published. You are a an editor of a newspaper which is focusing on social and political and cultural issues. And in the future Kind Love songs, which we'll be hearing from you later tonight, you will read us some of them. The reader there, I think, is confronted with protagonist who I don't know, who has this reoccurring motive of a baby that is being carried around, that has to be fed, that is demanding attention, and it's always something. There's an alienating feel to it. Also in the use of language that you do, the rhythmic, lush imagery you offer us, but always this sense of alienation. So I would maybe go first in this direction and ask you the role of being a mother, of very traditional, strong social dogma for women, for young women, that still exists. How does this dogma influence your writing? Well, why there is so much of the baby?
Good evening. Yeah, I, of course, asked that myself many times. I think the theme or the motive started with a lot of dreams about it, and you're right, it's like this alienating feeling. I always had that in my dreams, so just there always was a baby and I wasn't sure if it was mine or where did it come from and what I had to do with it. So I started to think about it, obviously, and I always also write about my family, and like that I can see the structures of how I was raised. And I think this is quite important because in my family it has always been this topic of my dad saying I never wanted a child, and my mom saying, or my dad saying, yeah, your mom tricked me, and stuff like that. And that is a very important theme for me also now, when a lot of friends of mine and in my family, people like women are getting pregnant, and how they react to it and how the boys react to it. And last year I did a very stupid job for a Swiss women's magazine, and I was in their campaign, and they asked me what is special about being a woman, and then I said, yeah, it's just one thing, we have to get pregnant and having babies. And yeah, I'm not sure what it is about that. It's just a big theme in my life. I feel that, of course, I want to have kids, but in a way it also, I'm afraid of it, kind of.
And maybe a sub-question, you said it was a recurring motive in your dreams, so it's quite visible, I think, in your poems. Dreams have a big influence. Can you say something about that, about the role of dreams for you, or maybe even, I don't know, for your writing, or maybe even some surrealistic influences maybe you have, because Switzerland, of course, is very, very known for the early avant-garde who had where dreams had a very important role in the production of literature.
Yeah, I started a few years ago with writing down the dreams, and I was very fascinating about the stuff that was in there, but I couldn't really figure out how to put it into literature. So I started to read Antonio Tabucchi, who is a Italian writer who lived in Portugal, and he has this. He writes a lot about dreams. And then I got to know the Russian surrealists like Daniel Karms and Gogol, and this was, then I just did it and worked with it. And I think the special thing, or the thing that interests me in dreams, is that a lot of fears and stuff, like feelings we don't really in the daytime or when we're not sleeping, we don't really let them come out, we have in our dreams. And when I read this literature that was working with dreams, it was great, because it was all the same. There's really a lot of these fears that just all the people have, and that is what interests me. So I think there's like a base or a ground thing that everybody has that is very deep and very, it's like dark sometimes, and I like that.
Yeah. And maybe I would like to go to Ricardo now and start with maybe an obvious but maybe also a bit problematic question. You are from Brazil, you write in Portuguese, you probably, I presume, consider yourself a Brazilian writer, poet. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And but at the same time, you have been living in Germany for quite a while. You're very well integrated in the German literary scene. And I would ask you, do you consider yourself a part of German literature? Or you're writing yourself as a writer?
I definitely don't consider myself a part of German literature. I think, as a writer, you're always conscripted by language. Berlin is an international city. I consider myself part of the Berlin literary community. I think it's different. I'm well connected and with poets, and I feel that I'm part of this community in the city. But I also have this feeling towards Germany. Sometimes I feel like I live in Berlin. This is very clear to me that I live in Berlin, and of course I'm part of the situation in Germany, but my connection is with the city. And this was a choice that I made very early on, also concerning Brazil. Brazil is a huge country, and that changes a lot from region to region. So for me, also in the beginning, it was very few part of a community in São Paulo. Now I have to say that this has changed a little bit in the past couple of years. As a writer in Berlin, for example, there are so many visual artists who can somehow, it's easier for them to ignore where they come from. There's a very clear international market for visual art, and because they don't depend on language so much, they can also, their work travels easier than literature. But I write primarily in Portuguese, even though I do some performance pieces in English, which I had to do in the beginning to get my foot at the door. Otherwise, it would be impossible. Portuguese, it is one of the, it's a big language in terms of how many people speak it, but it is still a marginal language. Just as Portugal, in a way, is a marginal country within Europe. It's 7 countries that speak Portuguese officially. None of them, I wrote an article last year about the differences between, in German you have the idea, this word Sprachraum, the language realm, which we don't have in Portuguese, which makes sense because if you think about German, German really is one, like all the countries that speak German are connected, they all border one another. It's like a room, really like a room. This word Raum, Sprachraum, makes sense. In Portuguese, it's the opposite. No country that speaks Portuguese borders another country that speaks Portuguese. We are all always isolated somehow, either surrounded by Spanish language on one side and by the ocean on the other. And this creates a very specific feeling in terms of being a writer in Portuguese. I remember like the first time I went to Portugal, it was almost, I knew I was in Portugal, and of course I could speak Portuguese, but still it was almost like a shock to be in another country and still be able to speak your language. So I think that's why it's very difficult for writers to get out of this notion of nationality and tradition. It wasn't always like this. I think this was pretty much a creation and an invention of the Romantics, the idea of like a national tradition and a national literature and so on. The first documents in Portuguese date back from the time when the Galician language and the Portuguese language were still the same. The troubadours, which you had the Minnesänger in Germany, for example. And it was very common in that time for the poets to write in several languages. It was accepted because they had to travel. They did their job by traveling from court to court and performing and so on. So it was very normal for a troubadour to compose his texts or her texts in different languages. This has changed a lot. It's almost strange now if you know of a writer who writes in 2 languages, for example. And there's almost this expectation that, he can't be that good if he doesn't write in his mother tongue or something. So there's this idea that you belong to a certain linguistic community, especially if you are a writer. I think I like doing stuff in English. Of course, it changes a lot because you have a different feel of the language, but it also allows you to do different things. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I mean, what I can say is that like in the past couple of years, I even started working with dialect poetry, writing in the dialect of my region in Brazil, something that I wouldn't have done 10 years ago because I felt that you had to communicate with the whole community of the language and so on. And then suddenly it didn't become so important anymore to me. And like I really enjoy now writing in almost this childish language of my grandmother and my grandfather. And so it's like, it's just, I don't know, you always belong to so many different communities at the same time. There's your language, there's the fact that you're a poet, so you somehow identify with other writers. Then there's sexuality, there's, I mean, in Berlin, it even matters which neighborhood you live in. You know, there's like, I have friends who don't visit me in Prenzlauer Berg because they don't want to leave the Kreuzberg, their neighborhood. So you're constantly like, you know, between these borders, and they're always shifting, and it depends on so many different things.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you mentioned now. It's exactly why we set Sprachraum for this festival. We wanted to take a look at the German speaking realm in order to be able to invite all of such different authors who are somehow connected to the region, even though maybe you don't write in German. I think, and you said you answered so clearly that you don't consider yourself part of German literature because you write in Portuguese. But I would argue that maybe this notion could be expanded. That we could say we could think about a new way of way of thinking of German literature, where it includes also authors who write in different languages, but are very, very strongly integrated in the literary scene there, are influencing it, are working there, and so on. And
I just think these are 2 different things. Like that's why I make the distinction of feeling like I'm really part of a community, even though maybe I'm not part of the system. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, because that's where these ideas, these notions of nationality start becoming. You know, Berlin has been a city, an international city for writers since, I mean, at least like famously the Weimar Republic, when you had like, you know, I mean, the most famous Christopher Isherwood, but W.H. Auden was there. Viktor Shklovsky wrote an important book there, Zoo, or Letters Not About Love, and so on. There was a very big community of Russian immigrants right after the revolution. And it has been like this, and then like in the 70s with Bowie and Lou Reed and others, which I consider poets. So it has had this tradition of being an international community of writers for a very long time. But I think I make a distinction between the community and the system, and I don't think it's a negative thing. I think they're constantly feeding one another. And of course, I'm talking on a very personal level. Like I'm just, if somebody asks me, do you feel part of the German literature? I would say, no, I feel part of the German literary community, but not of the literature, not of the system.
Thank you for that distinction. I think it will be a productive one for our further talks. I would now go to Abud. If you understand the question in English, tell me, otherwise we'll translate. I would, more or less, I think this question that I gave Dominic, I think I should direct towards you also, because you write in Arabic. Most of, I read both your books, and most of the stuff your whole imagery is based in Syria. I mean, there's very little Berlin in your storytelling for now, at least. And as I mentioned before, your texts were first published in the German language in Sandra Hitzel's translations, and they are, at least until now, not published in Arabic at all. They have been translated into English and Spanish, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Translated for Arabic
It's not.
one month ago.
Yeah. Okay. 1 month ago, really? Yeah.
It's not published in Arabic.
It's not published. Oh.
It's just the Beirut International Book.
And where did they publish?
Beirut.
Yeah,
In Beirut. Okay, that's great. Wonderful. But yeah, what I wanted to ask you, so since you're becoming a writer, more or less, in this term of being a part of the establishment or being a part of the literary scene internationally, it started through the German language and through the German literary scene. So would you consider yourself to be, I don't know, a part of the German literature?
Translator? No, you will not translate? Sandra, can you help me? Yeah. I understand, but not all.
خلص السؤال المهم إذا أنت تعتبر حالك إنك بما أنه نصوصك طلعت أول شيء بالألماني، أنت تعتبر حالك جزء من إذا بدك من سوق الأدب الألماني أو جزء حتى من الأدب الألماني ولا لا؟ أنت تعتبر حالك جزء من الأدب يعني تشارك الأدب الألماني؟
I talk in English or Arabic?
No, just Arabic. Yeah. Arabic. Yeah, tell me.
أولا مرحبا للي إجا واللي ما إجا، شكرا.
And then,
vas pozdravlja, naprej vas pozdravlja, mislim vsem, ki ste pač udeleženi v tem večeru.
أنا صدقا ما بعرف أحكي يعني عن الأدب بشكل بروفيشنالي، يعني إنه أنا يعني ماني كاتب بالمعنى الأكاديمي.
Priznam, da nisem profesionalec, kar se tiče, bom rekel, te literature, ni v tistem smislu, kakor ta pravi pisatelj, ki ga poznam.
I can talk in English, it's okay. It is better to me to explain directly. Yeah. Really, I don't know to talk about literature by professional way
because I am not a writer as someone see himself like writer, or I decide to be writer, or I develop my literature, or like this. It is happened by accident. It is just I open a page on Facebook and I start to write about my life without I know this is literature, will be book or not. And after that, everything happened. But I am not inside this system of literature and writer. Really, I am. I was working with iron, with blacksmith. I was work with blacksmith, and I just publish book and come to Germany. Oh, it has changed my life like so much. I was live in my village, go to my workshop and back to home, open my laptop. I didn't meet writers before. I never read any paper or any text in front of people. First time I read in Berlin. And
how was that?
I don't know. Like now. So sorry, I talk by this way. I don't know to talk by how the literature in Berlin or how it is. If I see I am part of literature of Germany literature, or I read a little bit books in my life, and like 5-6 books. And one of this book was for Nietzsche. But I don't have big idea about Germany literature. I sometimes read some blogs on the internet, and but I can say about your question, now I really see myself like real writer. Sorry, it is not my goal, not my project. If anybody ask me, you see yourself from Germany literature, it's okay, I see myself. Why not? Because I have a book in Germany, and first book was from here, and I now have a second one, and I will write, I am writing a novel. It will translate to Germany before I will publish in Arabic. So I think, yes, I am part and big part.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I talk. Sorry, I talk Arabic and you translate.
Okay. Now maybe I would go to Sandra now, who, as I mentioned before, Sandra found Abud on his Facebook. She started to translate him in German. She offered, I think, the manuscript to a microtext. So you are, as I said before, you are from Germany, and you didn't speak Arabic from when you were a child. So you actually started learning it quite later on in your 20s.
Yeah, I was 26.
Yeah. And you've been studying art when you started learning Arabic. And so, yeah, my first question probably would definitely be, because in the text that we can read in the upcoming issue of Idiot, which will be here tomorrow, there you talk a lot about your journey to the Arabic language, how it all went down and why, and I would ask you to tell us a bit about that. Why, how did you come to the Arabic language and to Beirut?
Oh, but that's long, because what I wrote is actually really only, it's like a bit what is my learning method, and what are my reasons, what were my reasons to learn.
Yeah.
This was a story that, like the story I wrote is like the course of, 1 year, 1.5 years. But how I came to Beirut, that's a long story.
Okay, maybe.
Okay, I at some point, I mean, if you want to read The Idiot, I don't want to destroy the joke, but at some point in my life, I realized through actually a random exhibition that I bumped into that my perception of the geography of this world was very restricted. Like I realized that I had no idea of that I had basically no idea of anything beyond on the other side of the Mediterranean, be it southern or eastern, and I found it a bit scandalous, especially when then I realized that there are like huge cities like Cairo and Damascus and whatever, and I thought like, fuck, but I know not many people know stuff, but I didn't know anything. So I was just like, fuck, they're big cities, and there must be people like me, and people who do interesting things, and people who write interesting things and think about the world, and I want to know what they think and what they write. And that was the motivation. It was basically from the felt gap of suddenly realizing that super geographically very close, there's this whole bunch of countries. Okay, some are not so close, but many are close. I mean, it's like 20, we're talking about 24, I think 24 countries where this language is spoken, and there are huge cities, and we don't know shit. We only know when something gets blown up. So that was my motivation.
But that doesn't explain Beirut.
No, that doesn't, because it's a long story. I mean, and then I learned Arabic because of that, what I just explained, and then I tried by myself. I learned by myself, but then I tried to learn by myself while I'm in Germany, which was like absurd. It didn't work. Plus, I didn't know anybody who speaks Arabic. I did not know a single person who speaks Arabic. So then I decided I should go to a country where it's spoken, and then I ended up in Syria in 2006, and then I was there for 6 months, and then I came back and I was talking. And I tried hard to learn better and better and better, and now I speak pretty well. But how did it come to Beirut? That's
okay, then I will formulate the question otherwise. When I think of Beirut and you there, I think of your work there, and
yes.
I would ask you then, how did you, because you come from the art field, how did you end up looking for interesting literature and translating it into German?
I used to, I grew up bilingual with Italian and German, and I used to translate even from when I was a child almost, because I always had this thing that I want to show, like there's a song in Italian and it's very nice, and I want to show my German friends what it is about, and so I translate it, or even parts of books. It's a certain, you suffer if you see something and it's invisible for your friend. It's like you say, but it's there, but your friend just doesn't see it. So you want to make it visible. And then with Arabic, it started also like that. Like it started, I started to read books and whatever. And I started to translate just because I found it very cool. And I just thought like, how can I make my friends believe that this is very cool? I have to translate it then. And then there was a bigger urge, maybe a political urge, when the uprising in Syria started, because then it was not about literature, even it was just about, flow of information. I just wanted to, I just wanted to amplify the flow of information, and I was happy about anybody who does the same, like about any translator who translates, so that more information comes from that country. Then I started to make poetry and literature readings in Germany to transmit political contents to a German audience from Syria, political content from Syria through literature, through poetry. And yeah, and I was always like looking and a lot on Facebook, of course, and then I discovered Aboud.
Was this your first discovery? I mean,
no, there were other discoveries, but I mean there were maybe people who, most of them already had published stuff, so it was not a big discovery. But yeah, I mean I talked to publishers before offering them stuff that got rejected.
And did you two get in contact via Facebook also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Skype.
And Skype.
Yeah.
But first Facebook, and he like ignored me.
Yeah. For how long? For how long did you ignore her?
Like I started to translate his stuff, and only 6 months later I met Nicola, and he only started to be more reactive.
I didn't take it serious.
Until I told him, yeah, there's a book.
She sent me a message that I am translate your text and I will publish your book in Germany. And I live in Syria, and every day bomb, and I don't have electric, and I don't have water, and she want to bring to me book. I said, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, like I translated the first like 10 texts, and then it got published in a German daily newspaper. Yeah. And then I thought, well, I have to tell him. And then I wrote him like, yeah, I translated your texts, and they got published in the German daily newspaper. Do you want me to send you a scan of the issue? And he was like, well, no, I don't think I need it. I mean, I won't understand anything, but thank you. I was like, oh. And then I made like a reading of the text in Haus der Kulturen der Welt, House of the World Cultures, like a huge venue. And so I said, I have to tell him. And I wrote him, yeah, today I made this reading, and many people, and he was like, oh, nice. What else?
Just I want to tell some secret story happened with me in this book. It is first time I tell to my publisher house, Nicola. She is here. And Nicola sent to me the contract by file. By email. I should this printed and sign, and also make it on the scanner and send it. And she sent me, you should sign. I search, what I should do now, where I find the scanner. And I talk with my friend on Facebook. He lives in Germany. His name is Fadi. I said, Fadi, please, can you do everything and sign? He said, okay. And please send to me, it is like file, I just send it by email. So my contract on the book, it is not my sign. If Nicola want to go to court, I will go to the jail.
So, yeah, maybe... I think there's something interesting, Ricardo, you opened up before, when you said that you had to, and also today at morning at the show we had in Radio Student, you said that you had to write English in order to get a foot in the Berlin, in the German literary scene. So there, I don't know, I think that can you talk a bit about certain expectations that come with, I don't know, being an author from Brazil? How do you what do you have to do? What do you have? Which stuff do you have to filter in order to get a foot in the international literary scene? How is that connected to the self-promoting?
Well, I don't know. I hate soccer, to begin with. That's already disappoints the expectations sometimes outside of Brazil. A lot of the cliches that people like, this very clear images that people have of Brazil, often don't apply to where I come from. I come from São Paulo. It's not Rio, it's not Salvador, it's not on the coast. It's the big gray metropolis, which is actually already under the tropics. It's cold, can get very cold, and so on. So I don't know. It's difficult because there are countries that so many writers have been translated that people already have a notion that the culture is very varied and it changes from place to place. But it's not the case in Brazil. Not very much has been translated. In Germany, for example, the most famous writer was Jorge Amado for a long time, he's from Bahia, this place where there's very strong African influence and Afro-Brazilian religions, and it's on the coast. And these images which are very present in people's minds. And this, of course, creates these expectations of what a Brazilian writer is going to write about. And when you come from São Paulo, for example, this is just like, it's just not your culture at all. That's not your Brazil. That's not the Brazil you come from. Like São Paulo is the biggest Japanese city outside of Japan. It's the third biggest Italian city outside of Italy. And it's like you walk through the streets, you have Jewish Orthodox people walking in their like traditional attire, and then you have Arabs, and you have a big Korean community, and so it's very strange when you come from such a neutral place, but people are expecting this very definite identity markers. You have to kind of show them to almost like prove that you're Brazilian. So I mean, I don't know, like in the it's difficult because also like even being a homosexual coming from a country like Brazil, which is like an extremely macho country, people have this image of Brazil just because 5 days a year people get naked during Carnival. People think that it's like this extremely liberal country and so on, but it's for the other 360 days it is the biggest Catholic country in the world, with a lot of violence against women and a lot of violence against homosexuals. With this, it's a country where there's this myth of the racial democracy, because it is really a melting pot, but it is an extremely racist country. So it's very difficult sometimes to navigate these positive waters that Brazil. Brazil has a very positive image sometimes outside of Brazil. People expect to like somehow have this paradisiac image, and when I start talking about the hell that it can be, sometimes people get shocked. Of course, people know a lot about the urban violence, which lately in the past 10 years I would say that it became the other expectation because of movies. I don't know if you've seen that movie City of God, or I don't know how it's called in English. It won the Berlin Festival a couple of years ago, about also the war, this basically civil war between the drug dealers and the police in Rio. So that now became the other expectation, that if you are Brazilian, you're going to be writing about urban violence between drug dealers and police and the police. But when you actually want to write about sexuality and the difficult relationship between sexuality and religion in Brazil, the fact that we have like this, we speak a European language from a Catholic country, but at the same time we are very much influenced by the polytheistic culture of the Africans who were kidnapped and enslaved in Brazil. Brazil is the country that kidnapped more Africans than any other country. For you to have an idea, the United States, it was 500,000. Brazil was over 3 million. Like no other country had more slaves than Brazil. And this polytheistic culture came with them and also influences us. And there's always this undercurrent of the polytheistic indigenous culture. And it's a very schizophrenic country, so that's why it's difficult to talk about a Brazilian identity, because you have this clashes between like this Portuguese, Iberian, Catholic, monotheistic culture clashing with this polytheistic African and indigenous culture, which has a completely different relationship to the body, which for me is very important. This idea of like the way they work with this they don't separate, the separation between body and mind in the African cultures or in the indigenous cultures. It's completely different, the way they deal with it. But of course, like the system is Portuguese, the system is European, and I see that in myself. Like it's very hard for me to talk about identity, because like my father's family is European, my mother's family is clearly like indigenous and African culture. So it's like we were talking about this, no? That it's very difficult to talk about identity when you come from a country with a colonial past, which I think every country, one way or another, has this past. If you go back far enough, there will be some sort of colonialism. So we were talking like about the difference between coming from a country like India, where the colonizers were actually kicked out and the indigenous population regained control, and coming from a country like Brazil, where this did not happen, where it was basically the children of the colonizers who suddenly said, okay, no, we don't need Portugal anymore. And but this conflict between like what are you exactly is it's very difficult, and it's always there. In Latin America, there's like this idea of this notion of identity is always a problem.
And how much of that tension, this complex tension of all those currents you were just describing from the different backgrounds, native and European in yourself, and all these cultural influences, all this xenophobia that you were describing, and the fact of that you are a homosexual, and your homosexual writing is visible. You talk about it in motives quite clearly. How much of this, identity conflicts, do these identity conflicts influence what you choose to put in the poems?
Well, when I write, it's inevitable, I think, for me at least, even though I'm in Berlin, my first thought is I'm writing this in Portuguese, and this is going to be published in Brazil, and I feel that this is the community I'm writing for. And of course I know that certain things that I write will have a different implication in Brazil than it has in Germany. When I choose to be so open about my sexuality, writing in Portuguese, I know that this has a political implication in Brazil. Because you really don't see this very much in Brazilian literature until the 70s, that some writers felt more free to be open about this. Before, it was always like kind of veiled, and they hid it and so on. This is interesting because when we started selecting the texts for the German book with my translator, I asked myself this question a lot, like, what will make sense in Germany? Like stuff that I know that can be very provocative in Brazil, but probably will be seen as quite mild in Germany. Yeah. There was stuff that we left out simply because it was too dependent on the Brazilian context. It would need so many footnotes. It would need footnotes. You would need explanation what I'm talking about. Just because, like when a Brazilian is reading and I make a certain reference to a big Brazilian writer, like it's obvious that they will get it. It just needs a word. In German, this won't happen. At the same time, I was surprised to see that. I live in Berlin, which is a bubble. Once you leave Berlin, things change radically. And I've had the experience of reading in smaller German towns where texts that I thought would not have this political implication, and I have said this before in an interview, I would like to live in a world where my love poems for another man are just that, just love poems, But I know that in this world it's not. There is a political implication. And I read, for example, just to give a very specific example, I read in Bamberg in December, which is a small town in Bavaria, and I read one of the texts that I'm going to read tonight, and you will see there's nothing explicit in it, nothing very, I would say, pornographic, apart from the word penis, which is a quite technical word. I could have gone much further if I wanted, and the curator actually got a couple of emails the next day complaining about the content of my work. There were a couple of people that were actually bothered, and you will see. I don't think the poem has anything really pornographic or shocking, but for some people, I guess it is. So, I don't know. I'm curious how it's going to be here. And I think it changes a lot from country to country. So, I mean, I keep that in mind, but my first thought, and I always extend myself too much, you have to cut me, I'm sorry. My first thought is always the Brazilian context. And because you can't think about every country where it might one day appear. No? So that's the thing, again, as a writer, of being so conscripted to your political context, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Michelle, about your political context, the political context you are writing in as, I don't know, a young Swiss author. I think the Slovenian literary scene knows very little about the literature in Switzerland. Could you tell us a bit something about how important are the issues we were talking, for example, with Ricardo just right now, issues of multiple cultural identities or sexual minorities in Switzerland? How much do they influence, I don't know, self-censorship in writing, or is everyone quite over those questions?
Yeah, I think that in the artist scene and the literature scene, we can be very open, and there we don't need to censor or think about that things. But still, in society, of course, it's different, and Switzerland is a very small country, and we have the different cantons, we say, the different areas, and these as well are very different. So I grew up in Zurich, which is very liberal and very forward in these things, and there are towns in the mountains where they are not so far. And what political wise, my concerns now are more there's a very big fear against the foreigners, and a lot of people really want to put really how do you say, these borders, close the borders and stuff like that. And this I think is very sad and also dangerous, and this spirit is very...
Does the literary scene in Switzerland have a reaction? Do you see a reaction from writers to that?
Yes,
process?
But not in the...
Because I remember you had some referendums, for example, about forbidding building of minarets and so on.
Yes.
But that was quite a big political issue.
Yes, and I think it's not really... Swiss authors, I think, don't really do politics in their books like they did in the 70s more, like Max Frisch, for example. But now I think that the literature scene is more, they're politically active in newspapers and stuff like that, and in the public, but not in their books or in their poems directly.
And this is exactly what you do too. I mean, with Fabrikzeitung, I see.
Yeah.
You have quite political issues.
Yes, of course. Yeah, you can say that. I also make, I don't know why, but
there is a clear distinction for you.
Yes. Too, yeah. I think when I write, I do it in a more descriptive way. I'm not really saying I don't like it that way, or I just describe what I see, maybe also in a naive way, so people can see for themselves and decide for themselves. And
when you write a editorial for Fabrikzeitung, for example, what is the mode of writing there?
There it's different. Yeah, there I think I'm clearer. Yeah.
Well, started now to talk about migrations. You opened the topic, and I mean, we are here in a country now, all sitting in a country where we have razor wire at nearly half of our border. The whole border with Croatia, which is very long, is razor wired. We are a transit land for migrant currents from the Balkan route. So this, I think this is a pan-European issue now, definitely. Not only, it's an issue that connects the African and Arabic world with Europe. And maybe we should start to talk about that. When I asked before Ricardo what are the certain expectations that come with being a Brazilian writer and stepping into the international scene, I would maybe ask Abud, do you feel now that you, with your texts, became very present in the German literary scene, do you feel certain expectations towards you as a migrant from Syria, from I don't know, the environment where you found yourself in Germany? How do you react? Are there any expectations? Do you feel there are? And how do you react to them?
انت لانه هو كان بيحكي عن شو بيتوقعوا العالم من كاتب برازيلي، وهو ما عم بيعطيهم اللي بيتوقعوا منه لانه ما عم بيكتب عن الاضرار. فانت كمان عندك هالمشكله انه بتعرف انه انت ككاتب سوري او كحدا سوري هلا جاي، انه الناس الالمان يتوقعوا شيء معين منك، في عندهم توقعات ولا عندك هذه الاشكاليه التوقعات؟
انا مؤمن بانه الادب مقبل على ثورة كبيرة.
Verjamem, da literatura nekako gre po poti revolucije, velike revolucije.
وهي الثورة راح تكون هي ثورة العفوية.
Nekako ta revolucija naj bi bila samodejno, mislim, ni nič, da bi bila usmerjena od nikogar.
أو فينا نقول ثورة البساطة.
Lahko rečemo, da je very simple revolution, to spravi zelo taka mehka revolucija.
يعني ومتوقع من هذا من هذا الشيء انه راح يكون الادب عالمي، بمعنى انه راح يكون له هوية عالمية كل العالم تحبه او تلحقه بغض النظر عن المكان والجغرافيا.
Ne glede na lokacije te literature, ta literatura bo nekako postala svetovna, ni lokalnost, mislim, lastnost te literature nima lokalnosti, bom rekel, značaja, ampak je bolj svetovna.
وأنا بشوف إنه عصر القضايا الكبرى مثل السياسة، الحب، الأديان راح تنتهي، هي ما عاد حدا راح يقرأ عن هدول الأشياء.
Jaz vidim, da te velike besede, kot je na primer politika, ljubezen, religija, nekako se bo končala ta, bom rekel, ta obdobje, mislim teh fraz, lahko bi rekel.
مشان هيك اشوف انه الادب راح يكون، ما راح يكون لا الماني ولا سوري ولا كذا، راح يكون في ادب تحبه الناس شو ما كان، من وين جاي او كذا، مو مهم من وين جاي، المهم شو عم يحكي. وبظن انه هذا الحكي راح يكون كل الناس مجتمعة على رأي واحد، هو البساطة والتفاصيل.
Jaz vidim, da nekako ta obdobje, da je nemška kultura ali pa arabska kultura ali pa lahko bi rekel literatura, nemška kultura, nekako to se bo izrodilo. To spravi, se bo končala ta obdobje, ampak bo literatura, ki bo značilnost na njo, je sporazum med ljudmi, nekako eno vzdušje ljubezni, razumevanje in složnost.
I finish my answer.
Okay. Thank you. But I would ask a bit more towards in this direction. If I look at your text, I think you do exactly that. You systematically destroy these big words and put instead of them imagery from everyday life. Smoking is definitely more important than love, for example. And but if I read your text, I think that
text.
But and for example, a very good example is you're very playful with what you do in the sense you in one text you say you will that one evening you will convince your mother that your family are I don't know that you are Jewish, that you are a Christian, that you are atheist. At another evening, so you really systematically try to, I think, to push all that away, which is wonderful. And but of course, this such writing as a
what means such
writing,
such
and do it so publicly on Facebook. And you started writing this stuff when you still have been in Syria. It brings certain real dangers to yourself, to your life, to your family, probably. So yeah, how is it to write exactly these things in the situation where you have been? Yes, yes, exactly. And what is is there any self-censorship you do still, or is there no taboos for you at all while you're writing on Facebook?
Just last sentence.
هل بالنسبة لك في رقابة ذاتية الأشياء اللي بتكتبها ولا لا أبدا؟ ولا ممكن بعض المواضيع فيه؟ وشو هي المواضيع؟
Okay, but please, I want to talk English, okay?
Yes, of course.
Really, I discovered something. There is no space free 100% or completely. I was in Syria. I always have control about what I want to say, because there is regime, there is religion, there is strong culture control about people. But I thought if I come to Oro or Germany, I can say what I want. Really, it is not true. And I know now if I want to be free here in this evening, I cannot. Always there is something control you. Maybe not directly, but how I can see here people have all these rules by if they want to say hello, and how I can to be free. If I want to say hello, I should be follow many things. And I write in Germany magazine. I cannot write what I want, really. I swear.
You mean Vice magazine you're writing for?
I don't want to talk about Vice or other, but I talk in general. I cannot write what I want. I think always there is control, and only one space I see it completely free. I can do what I want. It is my page on Facebook, really. More than stage also. I finish my answer.
Thank you. Thank you. I think at this point we can make the discussion a bit more casual and ask the audience. I'm sure probably there are some questions for our guests.
I wanted to say something.
Wonderful.
Can I?
Yes, of course.
Okay. To self-censorship and expectations and something I thought when you were talking about that. Of course, like because the project that I'm doing in Beirut, which is supposed to be a collective right now, the collective is pretty loose. I mean, basically me, I'm doing the whole work. It's called 1011, and soon it will be a big collective. So I look for literature, and that basically try to literature, Arab literature, mainly Syrian for now, and I try to present it or to introduce it to publishers in Europe. So there's also, I mean, I know what has been, what expectations are there in Europe towards Arab writers, or what people, not only Arab writers, also like literature from and about the region. I mean, if you Google, like, I don't know, literature, blah blah, religion, that's what. So this is in my mind. So what I try to, and then there's another thing that's like the mainstream thing. Then there's another part of Arabic literature, which is the super niche poetry, very like that only some Orientalists are interested in. That is like sounds very old-fashioned and
like protest poetry.
That's not so famous in Germany, at least, is that? But no, not very. But it's like very old-fashioned.
The idea is always of the Palestinian protest.
Okay, you know, Germany is a special situation. So it's not very present. Yes. Just a bit Mahmoud Darwish and so on. But still, even Mahmoud Darwish, what you probably is the Palestinian thing, it's very old, and it's a very old-fashioned way. So the result of all this is that people are not so interested in this Arab literature. The style, it just doesn't compete with with what we understand of contemporary literature, of contemporary issues. So I try to choose people, so there's a filter, of course, and also not censorship, but I try to choose people who totally defy the way what people expect from Arab literature. So like what Aboud and now the author that I'm translating right now have in common, maybe also Asaf, but Aboud and Rasha, that's one small thing in common, that they have something in their writing that we would call it punk. Like there's something very challenging certain norms and in their writing. I'm also finished now with my comment.
So maybe now there's an answer. Yeah, Resik.
You said you cannot freely write in Germany, but I didn't understand which are the constraints. Is it the consciousness, or is it the fear to be controlled? Is it a realistic fear, or is it a kind of anger you have in mind?
I will explain to you. Yeah. For sure, it is the space of a freedom in Germany. It is stupid if I want to compare Syria or Lebanon or like this. For sure, you can be free, but I talk about. If you want to be really free for the extreme, you cannot. Especially if you want to deal with another magazine, newspaper, theater, you cannot. Always they want from you what they want, not what you want to do. But it is not directly controlled. Nobody say to you cannot write this. But you have always this feeling that you are not free. I don't know if it is just a feeling or it is coming from some Bauer.
Maybe there is now another question. Okay. Ah, yeah, Razik. One more.
Again? Okay.
I would like to know, when you are writing out of Germany in Portuguese to Brazilian address or to Brazilians, is it your intent to get them to know what kind of German impact is in your literature? Is it, or what's the, or do you want both? Because I see you have it's a quite affluence of influences, but what's the German part of that, what you are writing? And is it intended, or is it, by the way, something which is influencing unconsciously what you are writing?
Well, I mean, in Brazil especially, but also all over Latin America, it's very common that writers are also translators. So you usually know what languages the person translates and which tradition he or she is playing with. Throughout until the 19th century, like all of Latin America was very influenced by France. Now it has, since the post-war, it became the United States, of course, because of the proximity. For me, the dialogue being in Germany is very strong with German writers. Also, I translate from German into Portuguese, and but there's also like this. Sometimes there's also the expectations of the Brazilians in terms of what a German writer should be, because this happens both ways. Like in Brazil, the part of German literature which is more read and translated is what I call the Orphic wing, like Novalis, Hölderlin, Rilke, the descents into hell, and so on. These writers which are more like with their feet on the ground and more direct, like Heine, for example, or Tucholsky, or Brecht. Brecht is famous as a playwright, but not so much as a poet. And this is the tradition that actually interests me in Germany, like, you know, Brecht, Tucholsky, Brasch, and Heine Müller, for example, whom I consider a very good poet. So when you, in a way, when I'm working with this side of the German tradition, which is not so widely read in Brazil, it also creates some sort of, not a clash, but there is an estrangement somehow. So I mean, of course, like when you're dealing with different traditions, it also depends on what people have read and what they haven't read. Can they read in German or not? People are usually, like, German is not a very widely spoken language in Brazil at all, unless you are in the south, where there are still a lot of immigrants, and there are some villages where they actually still speak German and so on. But it's not a very strong, there's not a very strong dialogue. There's me, maybe two or three writers who have lived in Germany or live in Germany and are now back in Brazil, who try to translate as much as possible. But unfortunately, I think the dialogue between Brazilian literature and German literature is still quite weak. I think it should be much stronger than it is. Could be much stronger than it is.
Yeah?
Maybe we should read? No, there's a question? Oh.
Sorry. I had an idea of, well, when I was listening to everything now, as if you experience like a universal language, as in, I don't know, like because you mentioned the unconscious and dreams and everything, is there a language which is universal in a bodily sort of way, that, you know, sort of like the inner the language that you, I don't know, the core of which is translated into many languages, like, you know, the message or the content that...
Who are you asking that question to?
Everyone.
I think the only universal language that I believe in is hormones. Other than that, no, I don't believe in a universal language. That's probably why it's universal.
That's an
Yeah.
answer already.
اللغة الوحيدة اللي هو بعتبرها كونية والهرمونات.
For me, it is ironic language.
What?
The ironic.
Irony.
I think that exactly irony is not universal because it's like if I don't know if a Japanese is now being ironic, I don't know if I get it or you
No,
know.
but I mean, you mean the principle of irony, you know?
The principle, yes, but it's
What mean?
but it's إنه مبدأ
Yeah, sure. I
بس هو
mean
أصعب
this.
شيء للترجمة.
I don't mean the language of.
The specific one, no.
I talk about the way.
Like humor or like carnival as a subversive force or something like that.
My English is so bad, man. Really?
No, but you mean
Don't
humor,
be hard.
No, like humor, irony, you know,
Yes.
can be a weapon.
Yes. Sometimes. Sometimes you have reaction, very hard reaction. You will be regret. I always be regret about my ironic way. Really, not always I have good result.
But you said humor, and I think humor can also be very different. There's very different kinds of humor, and not everyone has the same.
Yeah.
And irony is a very
Irony is
specific
same, yeah.
one, quite a bit violent. It's a violent humor.
But because you mentioned dreams, I just what came in my mind is that I know a few people that talk in their dreams, and then I hear them when I'm still kind of sleeping, and I understand what they're saying, and I'm waking up, and I try to think, what did they say? And then I get, that wasn't German. But I understood it when I was sleeping as well. So maybe there is a universal language just in dreams. But yeah.
This needs research.
Sandra, you have an answer?
For a universal language, no, I really don't have an answer. A universal language. I mean, maybe I think there's something in what you say about dreams, but that would need some research, I think.
But I meant also in a way that, you know, like the state of mind you're in. You're translating your state, your bodily state, into words. Okay? So I was thinking of, is it...
When you mean when I talk now?
Yes, for example. I mean, or if you write poetry, you translate your whole position in the world, I guess, into words, and then I was wondering if this could be considered as a universal medium. Let's say. I mean,
you mean the first?
like
now I
music,
understand.
you know,
you
like
mean the
either
first
music or
translation that is from what you're inside into words of whatever
the core
language.
of what you translate.
I don't know. That's very philosophical.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Just
Thank
talk
you.
about it later.
Thank you.
So, one last question, if there is another question. If not, I thank you very much. Thank you to all the guests.
Thank you too.
We will make a short break of 15 minutes right now. Relax a bit, maybe take a drink or something, look at the idiots. Unfortunately, tonight there isn't the new issue yet.
You mean us?
No, well, I mean the other idiots in the corner. Tomorrow there will be the new issue, the German issue available, and in 15 minutes we will be able to listen to Abu Said reading, to Michel Steinbeck reading, and to the reading of Ricardo Domenech. And everything, all the translations will be projected on the screens in Slovene, so you will be able to follow. Okay, thank you.
Hear this. 3 monkeys sitting under a coconut tree, discussing things as they are set to do. Said one to the others, now listen you two, there's
rumor that can't be true. They say man was descended from a noble race, but the very idea is a big disgrace. No monkey ever deserted his wife or her baby to rule their lives. The monkey's drift is mine. That's right.
Well-educated fools, they have to win the world and start making hard for the boys and the girls. And steal all the Africans' diamonds and pearls and start bunk it up in a federal reserves. And then Rasta fuck it up and inside riot. Want them for cool and with it, want them for quiet. Now them here they keep drum, this near and the yard. Load up them belly with some copper shot diet. Imagine after so much chanting and prayers, what a revolutionary situation requires. If we come tear off with no face with pliers, surround them and say that's some burning tires. Round up the shit, the government case of poor people and judge it. They bring the guns but the youths them oppose it. Burn them skeleton well lock up in a closet. Wipe out them species and all them inhabits. With a warm series of pain and havoc. Now clean off feces for money pay for grab it. Make me resort to violence, the place get lit up. Somebody now live up, somebody going dead up. Blow, all of the garment them red up. Blow, tear an apartment get bled up. To get ample warnings, the poor people fed up. And still every morning, them try hold them head up. Emperor Selassie calling, shoots them fi dread up. Babylon is falling, gun nozzle pen up. Releasing the whole of the youth them we pen up. Well-educated demons have ruined the world and start making hard for both the boys and the girls. And steal all the Africans' diamonds and pearls and start bank it up in a federal reserve. The Rastaman them fuck it up and we go inside riot. Want them fi cool and with it, want them fi quiet. Now them here they keep drum, the snare and the yard. Lord you no belly with a copper shot tired.
Check it out, junior ganga, junior bang and beat up Babylon and Vatican. Me no come for praise up, no pagan, me no come for big up no Fatima. See them a come boots up, sit and forget all about the good great one. Tell them say that them late in the man, who them fake on the hate the song. Say that them instigated wrong, injustice now go last too long. Sit down with an enemy and politician, man I go bust it pan. Them hide the truth and I kill with them brainwash education. Poor people across the world, this is a special dedication. Africans and this life, don't lose on no meditation. See them a come with racism, now support
pleno século este arameado a memorandar the gravity of statistics entre epiderme e shampoo, bicho da seda of my own cheveux, my heart catching the carousel.
Sussurro-te questo lullaby, silencioso, nonchalant e taube sorda of mi olvido. Ecco, ich, io, je, eu, subjective, mon cowboy, j'aime deine Mühle, e con one sonrisa sur la fresse cargo tu planetoide, heavy, hecho plumas e paese, mio xodó, tal qual atlas avec avlas e árvores e everything de solombra sur riachos, mein benzinho gosto de pampers da vita, base mille de indecentum e tremblo trotzdem debaixo der zona, hasta que deslizes under los lençóis de camomila sur tua lite. Oh, l'alba sovia, de morsos a ictus glutona-se teu focinho avec mis tetters, ronron meu. Se ai rincão more longe von mim, mendigo-te, do not go. Ai, paura da departure, baby, bobo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have to mention who did the translations. Ricardo was translated by Urška Rupar-Verbinc. Abut was translated by Mohsen Al-Hadi and Margit P. Al-Hadi, and Michelle was translated by me. Ich entschuldige mich an meine deutschsprachigen Freunde, die heute hier sind, für die wir vergessen haben, die Übersetzung zu vorbereiten für die Text. Morgen wird alles in Deutsch gelesen, also wird kein Problem. Tore, I'll say in English. You're kindly invited to join us tomorrow again. We will have two discussions. One will be at 5 with Moani Sinanovic, who will moderate it about Slovenian minority literature. And the second one will be moderated by Tibor Hrs-Pandur, and it is going to be about contemporary editorial practices in the German-speaking realm. And at the end, we will have at 9 again a reading with our 4 of our wonderful guests. Just quick mention who's going to be on the debates. The first debate, the Slovenian minority debate, will be with Lidija Dimkovska, Goran Jankovic, and Zuzana Tratnik. And the debate about editorial practices will be with Dominik Sriens. I almost forgot him. He's not here today, but he's joining us tomorrow. He's Slovenian, from Canton, Slovenia. And on the second debate, there will be Nikola Richter from Mikrotext, Robert Prosser from Babelsprech, Matthias Zeiske from Edit magazine, and and who did I forget? Daniela Zil from Cookbooks. That's it. See you tomorrow.
Got blood rushed in my head. They hot lock popping off the fucking block. Now clocking wristlet watch been thump off. Dragon volume blasting, bailing out my brain. Red light flash, dim stop I smash. Abraxas, hydroplane, massive. That's just fight for rain and madness. Mastermind and lace I add with black cat fist on the waves of stratus. Come right to fall that flying. Don't wait for me if I care about anything, anywhere. Losing myself, I get the stares when I'm looking at. Wasn't there, wasn't there, wasn't there, wasn't there, wasn't be there. Nothing out there can stay inside. Hit the ball, sleep deprived, we drove the car. I'm still alive, up in smoke, moon was low. Patching up, didn't say I did. Who's this, know what this is? But do you know? Got blood rush to my head. They hot lock popping off the fucking block. Now clock and wrist it, watch been top. I fly inside, I watch them big shots. Snip shots, for the one he quick stop.